Okay, so this is a quick explanation of how to set up UrBackup on a Synology NAS in a Docker container. And so it's pretty straightforward. The first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that Docker is installed on your Synology NAS. Now my NAS here is a DS 923 Plus, and so it has support for Docker. Some Synology devices don't have the support, but if they do, then when you go into the package center, you can search for Docker. Now, under this current version of the Synology OS, the Docker is actually called the container manager, and so when you search for Docker, that's what comes back. And I already have it installed, so there's nothing for me to do. But if you don't have it installed on yours, then this button will actually say install. You go ahead and install it, and it will set everything up for you. Once it gets installed, it creates a new Docker shared folder that you can see in the file station. And so the first thing that we're going to do in here is we're going to create a new folder for our Docker container. So this is going to be called UrBackup. And then within this folder, we're going to create two more folders. One will be called Backups, and the other will be called UrBackup. And so these two folders are going to hold the files that get created by the server in the container. The database and settings, those are going to get stored here, and then all of the client workstation backups will get stored in here. So now that we've got that set up, if you go to the UrBackup download page and scroll down to the bottom, they actually have a section here for Docker, and it tells you what the official UrBackup server name is for Docker, and it also has a example startup command. We're going to use this, but we're also going to use something else. So if we look at the Docker registry, you'll find that this is the UrBackup image that's referenced on the download page. And in here, they have an example YAML file to configure your container with. So we're going to use this example to start off, but we're also going to take some information from this here and merge it into this example. So the way to start, now that we've copied that YAML file, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to open the container manager, and we're going to come down here and create a new project. This project is going to be UrBackup. This name has to be all lowercase, no uppercase is allowed. We're going to point this to our UrBackup folder, and then we're going to create a new YAML file, and we're going to paste in what we copied. And I copied it. And so now we have to make a few changes. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a section in here called ports, and we're going to add 2 lines for ports. The first one, we're going to get these from the download page. You'll notice here that they have these 2 sections for ports. They have these ports, which are TCP ports, and then they have this port here, which is a UDP port. So it's pretty easy. We're just going to copy this, come over here, and then in quotes, we're going to put the first one, come back over here, copy this one. Make sure you get the UDP. You have to specify UDP for this one. So for here, in quotes again. We'll do that. Now the next thing that we need to do, let me make sure these are all lined up correctly. The next thing we need to do is we need to change these two values here for the user ID and the group ID. And so if you do a search on Google, you'll find this page here for finding the UID and GID on a Synology. It's pretty simple. Turn on SSH, open a command prompt, connect to your Synology device with your admin account, and then issue this ID command, and it will tell you what your user ID is, as well as all the different groups that you're associated with. So I've done this already for mine, and I know that my user ID is 1024 and my group ID is 101. Next thing I want to do is change my time zone. This is also available by doing a quick Google search. And now we need to set the volumes, and we're going to use the paths of the folders that we created earlier. And so for the first one is the UrBackup folder. So let's go right click on this, go to properties, and this is the path that we want, the full path. We're going to copy that, go back to our YAML file, and replace this first part up to the colon. Right? Go back here, and let's get the same path for the backups folder. Properties, and copy this back to the YAML file, all the way up to the colon again. And then the last thing to do, on my particular volume on my Synology NAS, I actually am running BTRFS as my file system, so I'm going to go ahead and enable this. If your volume is running BTRFS, I recommend that you set that up as well. Go ahead and hit next. This, we can ignore this, so hit next again, and done. It will pull down the image automatically for us, gets it all set up, and starts it. When you get exit code 0, you're good. It was successfully built. And so now if we look at the container, we have a container that's running. Our image was downloaded. Everything's all set up. We go to the details of the container. You'll see that here's our ports that were created. Here's our paths that were created. Our user ID and group ID were all set. Our time zone was set. Everything was set correctly. Our other capabilities for the RFS file system, everything's set up. You can look at the logs. It'll tell you everything that's going on. Now, for UrBackup, the normal interface port for the server is 55414. So if we open another tab and go to that port, there we go. That is the interface to our server. You'll want to come in and actually fill this in like so, and make any other setting changes you like. Configure it however you need to for your environment. Now, I'm not a Docker expert, I'm not a UrBackup expert, but after a little bit of research, I did discover that this way of setting this up worked for me, and so it should work for you as well. If there are any experts out there that have some ideas that they'd like to share, please enter those in the comments. Maybe there's a way I can make this better, make this easier, make it more feature rich. Please leave your ideas in the comments. I'd be glad to incorporate them. And that's it. Thanks for watching.